Hi, so further to my earlier video where my dad turned up at the end, I have finished the second arm. I've snipped my seam allowance to help it turn out properly. So now the next bit is sewing this dart and up to the neck on the top of the arms. So I've pinned this one already and I'm going to pin the other one and show you, but I'll just show you that I've matched up the seam there, and then here from the inner joint of the arm outwards I've held that in place. Now I fold this bit back there because what you're going to do is follow your seam allowance down and then out. So I'm going to do this side. Let me turn you this way so you can watch how I do it. So we're in my gym jams now. It's my son's birthday today, which is why everyone was turning up. Well, not everyone, I say everyone, we're in lockdown. Well, not in lockdown, we're in restrictions of 6. So it was me and my 3 children and my dad for a little while. And then my dad went to see my sister, and then his other grandparents turned up to say hi, and we had a bit of tea. So I'll pin that bit. I'm holding this bit back so you can really see to make sure these points match up. And then I'm pinning from the inner seam out. Now the reason why I do that is because I should pin these all the way around because that's the way I'm going to sew. I forget that sometimes. The reason why I go from the inside seam out is because I'm going to come down this line here and then long. I want to be able to see that very cleanly. And the next thing to do is sew. Let me get lined up. And then I'll angle you down so you can see better. So, down to that seam line by the letter W, and then I turn it slightly so it still lines up with the outer edge. Move this pin, and that's it. And down and out. And then I do that on the other side, and it's exactly the same way. And that's those 2 bits done. So you now have a bear that looks like this. Obviously the legs are folded in, arms all done. Let me show you them from the inside. See how that's sitting? You'll see that your seams don't all line up perfectly, but they're not meant to. Gives you a nice finish. Right, so the next bit now is putting your head onto the bear. So remember, we always keep right sides together. This is your bear head. So this centre seam from the nose down goes at the centre seam at the front of the bear. So this is the front of the bear. Just going to turn it around for demonstration purposes. Right, so I've popped the head inside so that all right sides are facing each other. I'll line them up. So you will need quite a lot of pins on this bit. And then when you go to sew it, it feels really super awkward. But slow and steady, and it's worth it. So then you line up your back seams. So that's your edge there. K goes with K. Same on the other side, K and K there. So because I knew this fabric was quite thick, when I was drawing out my pattern pieces on the interfacing, I used like a thin Sharpie pen to mark it out because it doesn't come through to the other side. If you have quite a thin fabric, so it's quite see-through, I wouldn't do that. I'd use an erasable marker pen, because then it can be, when you spray it with water, it washes off. You can get air drying ones which are just as good, but my problem with them is if you do put a project down and you've marked it all out, it will disappear over the next few days. If you don't get back to sewing it quickly enough, for whatever reason, you've then lost all your markings. Right, so then you'll see they naturally, because you've got your darts, there's a middle seam there that matches that seam. I put in there. Try and keep my seams as flat as possible, just to help with the sewing and keeping it all flat and making it look a bit uniform. So that's the top of the arms. You'll see that that fits just right. I do that on the other side just to make sure it's all nice and flat. Line them up nicely. And you've got your two front bits between your middle and your arm seams there. Lots of threads hanging off here as well, so choose which way you're going to put your seams for your darts, either towards them in or towards the out. I'll put them in because that's where they're naturally falling. And then the other one. There we go. Right, these threads are quite annoying, so I'm just going to chop them off a minute. They might get tangled up. Oh my gosh, I just dropped you. Dear, so sorry. Can you tell it's gone 10 o'clock at night? I do apologise for that. Right, chopping off excess threads because I was too lazy to do it earlier. Right, so now we sew. So I put it, the arms are going downwards and it goes in like that, and then I feed it around. So I'm going to try and angle you so you can see what I'm doing, which I'm going to shorten you a minute. Right, that should help you to see what I'm doing. So it is tight, it does feel a bit alien, but I'm going to slot him in under there, keeping my same seam allowance. And as usual, I'm going to do a hand crank, keep my needle in place. Now, I can go a little bit faster, but slow and steady is the name of the game. Should come around just slightly. Nope, I'm going to keep you there. Watch out for pins. So I do take the pins out as I go, just because there's so many seams and pins that I don't want to end up breaking the needle. Just go all the way around. There we go, we're fine. And that's that bit sewn. Head is now attached to the body. So So we have one more bit to sew before we can birth our bear and check what he looks like. So I'm just going to bring you around here a minute and explain to you what I'm about to do. A nice shot just then. Right, so you now fold your bear head upwards. Do check your seam, make sure you're happy with how it all is. It's all looking quite good from the inside. Sometimes you can never tell. Right, so now you've got, remember we sewed just the bottom part of the back, and we've got point N up to point K, and then we've got that dart at the back of the head which goes up to Y. What we do now is match up the neck seam, match up point N on either side to make sure they're level. So that's where you put your first pin at point N. And then I like to, let me show you what I'm doing so you can see what I'm doing rather than me just showing you my face. So that's point N. So then we've got our neck seam. And then we've got up to point Y. So I'm going to put another pin. So I'm going to make sure they're nice and lined up. And then I'm going to keep that in position by putting a pin that way. Right, so when we're at point N, so when you're turning and stuffing, that's the stress point. So what I do there is I just do a mini triple stitch. Ready? Just like that, and then I go back to normal stitch. And what that triple stitch does is just hold it nice and tight for me. It may still pop if you put too much force on it, but it's less likely to with a little bit of triple stitch. And it gives you a nice full stop for when you do your hand stitching when you've stuffed it. So now I'm at the neck point. Just going to turn it slightly. And now we're at that dart. And we just go right off the edge. Okay, so that is all the machine stitching for your bear now. The next bit will be stuffing the bear. So I'm just going to turn it out. Bless him. So I like to, so you've got quite a small gap, see what I mean? This is why we triple stitch that bit there, just to make sure it doesn't pop out. So here's a foot. It's going to be a bit more than oh, hear that little bit of a click? That'd be stitches popping. Right, so just get his head out. Where's his head? Okay, just pick that through. Now, if you find that your memory bear gets a bit creased, when you have stuffed it, give it a light spray of water from like a hair wetting bottle type thing. You can get them in Poundland and Superdrug and stuff. And then leave it to dry, and then that helps because of the stuffing. See these little things? That helps with getting rid of any wrinkles. Depends on the fabric really. Some fabrics are amazing and don't crease, and then some fabrics crease so much that you just wonder. So roll your seams, get them all out nice. So at this point is where you might find bits of thread sticking out. Go around and make sure you've got rid of it all. So all my seams look good. Not spotting any like little holes or gaps or anything that I need to worry about when stuffing. That's the next stage, is stuffing. which I'm going to do at the end when I've made the other one, and then I'm going to give them a bit of decoration together at the same time. And I've got little bits to put on the foot pad as well, which I've got to make tomorrow. Oh, there's another bit of thread. So what I'm going to say about stuffing before I show you the endy bit is you can overstuff, but I found in the early days of stuffing toys that I used to kind of understuff. They're still a bit squidgy and stuff, so I find I really stuff them, and when you think you've given it enough, squidge and shove a bit more in, and which I'll show you. Stuffing is very boring to watch though, but I'll do like the head and stuff, and then kind of cut it short, and then show you the end of it, how it looks and feels from the back and everything, and then show you hand stitching up your small hole. So my patty matching wasn't great there. Wasn't too bad on the tummy, but anyway, that's the main bear done. So I've got another one to make, and then I will be stuffing and decorating, which I'll show you. But he's quite cute, he or she. There's one for a girl, one for a boy. Isn't he cute? I kind of want to make one for me, just out of fabric that I like. So yes, that's the end of the 15th of September. Thank you very much for watching, and of course subscribe and like, and tell your friends and stuff, and I will see you for the stuffing and decorating part of the bear. Speak to you then, bye.